Atletico Madrid were one of the more frustrating teams to watch over the past 2 seasons. And even when they won the league back in the 2013-14 season, they were playing a style of football that doesn't really resemble the Atletico of today, an Atletico that have perhaps to some degree surprisingly become title favorites. So what's driving that? I'm Adrian and welcome to Rabona TV. Today is of course all about Atletico Madrid, what has gone right for them this season, the change in their play style from boring Atletico to a more expansive Atletico, and some individual stats behind Atletico's improved play. This is a little different from me getting into the statistics here, so do let me know what you think of this video below. Also make sure to subscribe if you're new, it's free and you'll be able to join us every Monday for the weekend recap, as well as other explainer videos and much more throughout the week. We'll be moving to 4 videos a week very soon. So let's look at what's improved at Atletico and how they have become title favorites. Last season, it felt like almost the entirety of the Atletico squad was out of form at one point or another, and one of the most notable of which was Thomas Lemar. It felt like the highly rated French attacker was basically a persona non grata at Atletico Madrid during the 2019-20 season. Every one of his 22 appearances was painful to watch. A player that looked lost on the pitch and as if he didn't know what he was doing, and perhaps he didn't, until now, with a change of role. The role change has clearly helped, as some of Lemar's best performances have come from him playing inside in a more central attacking role, as opposed to wide on the wing. A lot of this is due to the change in shape from Simeone, as his formation change has been a massive hit. Instead of his usual 4-4-2 double pivot type of formation, Atletico has favored more of a 3-5-2 or a 3-1-4-2 formation while in possession, and a 5-3-2 while without it. With Carrasco and now Versalco in Trippier's stead playing as wingbacks, Lemar's central role has brought the best out of him, seeing him more involved in the build-up of Atletico's play rather than taking players on in one-on-one situations near the touchline or playing the final ball into the box wide from the wing. Speaking to French Football this week, Lemar said, quote, "I wanted to rediscover my style, my way of playing. This change to the middle allows me to play more freely, to be more involved in each phase of the game. I can go left or right, keep the ball and touch it more often, instead of once every 15 minutes on one side." His numbers, 1 goal and 1 assist, shouldn't really be considered in this aspect, as he isn't playing the role of creator or goal scorer. As mentioned, he plays more of a role in the build-up for Atletico. And if we look at his XG and XA, expected goals and assists, he's right on the money so far, at 1 of each. But it's his defensive numbers that are improving the most notably when it comes to his pressing game. And this will no doubt have pleased Simeone. Lemar's successful pressing percentage is at a career high. What is that? In other words, when he presses an opponent and his team regains possession within 5 seconds of him pressing, that's added to his successful pressing numbers. On top of that, he ranks 3rd within the entire squad for the number of times he's applied pressure to opponents in the middle third of the pitch, behind only Carrasco Llorente, more on him later, and Koke. Koke, who is undoubtedly one of the most important players at Atletico Madrid and has been for the past few seasons, so we won't go too deep into his role at the club. And similarly to Koke, I don't think I need to go into much detail about Atletico's defense. Through thick and thin, defense under Simeone has never been an issue. Jan Oblak is perhaps the best shot stopper in the world, or at least in the top 3, while the defensive organization from Diego Simeone ranks as one of the best in the world as well, with a goals against record that backs it up even further. Just 8 conceded from 18 matches in La Liga. And so despite losing Godin last season, a player who was synonymous with Atleti's back line, they've continued on as they were. While Mario Hermoso has added to their defensive solidity, he has also contributed greatly to how this Atletico side attacks alongside his partner, Stefan Savic, as Hermoso actually leads the entire team when it comes to completed passes into the final third of the pitch, with 94, 10 ahead of Koke, him again, and almost 30 completed passes ahead of Savic. Not just completed passes, passes into the final third. His performances this season have seen him become one of the best ball-playing central defenders in the league, something that Atletico will have perhaps seen in him while he was at Espanyol, as in his final season there, he completed 79 passes into the attacking third from 32 appearances. This season, his 94 completed have come from just 15 appearances. That's a major boon to their attack, as his diagonal balls can spring a counterattack quite easily. Yannick Carrasco's return to Atletico Madrid last season came as somewhat of a surprise, following his surprising move from Atletico to China a few years earlier. With his move from Dalian Yifeng made permanent in September of 2020 based off of his importance to Atleti upon football's return in June of 2020, he has continued on as one of Simeone's secret weapon, well, not even a secret weapon at this point, more an integral figure in the 11. Even more so as Renan Lodi has failed to meet expectations. Carrasco's ability to play as a right wing back, a left winger, or a right winger makes him an attractive option to Simeone, and his involvement in their attack cannot be understated. Again, looking beyond the goal and assist numbers, Carrasco leads the team in shot creating actions per 90 minutes. What is shot creating actions? Any action that he makes, whether that be a pass or a dribble or even drawing a foul that leads to an attempt on goal for Atletico, is recorded as a shot creating action. 37 shots have come from Carrasco doing any of the things listed above, more than any other player on Atletico Madrid, even João Felix. And inevitably, if you're on top of the shot creation, there's a good chance that you are on top of the goal creation actions table, and Carrasco just edges out both João Felix and Angel Correa there as well. Another area that Carrasco excels in is 1v1 situations with the ball at his feet. He is the dribble king of Atleti currently, leading in progressive carries of the ball, which is dribbles towards the opponent's goal in the attacking 60% of the pitch, and leading in carries into the penalty box. This is where he dominates his teammates with 31 dribbles into the box. Another important cog in the Atleti attack. Ever since Anfield, Marcos Llorente has been converted into an attacking midfielder or a second striker, a big step from where he had built his career as a defensive linchpin, but it's proven to be a masterstroke by Simeone. His attacking contributions are fantastic when it comes to expected goals. 6 goals from an XG of just 2.1, 5 assists from an XA of just 1.3. But his importance in recovering the ball, pressuring opponents, and his defensive output is where Llorente is indispensable. Llorente has blocked more passes than any other player in the entire Atletico squad. When combining his interceptions and tackles, he's behind only Koke and Kieran Trippier. He leads his team when it comes to pressing in both the middle third of the pitch and the offensive third, and has the most successful presses of anyone on the team. Successful presses being when he applies pressure to his opponents and Atleti recover the ball within 5 seconds of that action. Even when it comes to tackling, Llorente is ranked 4th in the entire squad. Like I said, his offensive output is an absolute plus for Atleti, but by Simeone playing him a bit further up the pitch in order to utilize his defensive ability in the press, Atleti are winning the ball further up the pitch as opposed to in their own third, and that has helped their attack vastly. And speaking of helping the attack vastly, there's no denying that Luis Suarez's mobility had dropped while at Barcelona in the past couple of seasons. Injuries and age will obviously do that to you. His finishing had dropped a bit as well, but not to the degree that we may have all thought. When looking at his expected goals for his last 2 seasons at Barcelona, he was still performing well. 21 goals from an XG of 21 during the 18-19 season, and 16 goals from an XG of 13.9. Of course, that doesn't account for the positions that he is or isn't getting into, but it speaks to his finishing ability never really dropping. When players start reaching towards the mid-30s, the drop-off can come at any point. You never know when it will or if it will happen, and with his injury record, it looked like Suarez was heading in that direction, down. Couple that with his massive wages, the financial disaster called FC Barcelona, and the presidential disaster named Bartomeu, and Suarez was unceremoniously booted from Barca, but not Spain. Atleti pounced on his availability and sent Morata packing to Turin. It's safe to say that that was yet another masterstroke from Simeone, as Suarez is absolutely flying at the moment. 12 goals and 2 assists from 15 appearances, an XG of just 7. You could see that as Suarez getting lucky with his finishing, considering the disparity between his goals and expected goals, or you could give him the credit he deserves considering his pedigree when it comes to finishing. I side with the latter. And the technique he's shown in all of the goals that he's scored has been fantastic. And it's funny the difference a good finisher makes on the players around them. After his first season, people were starting to call João Felix the most expensive flop of all time, after my club finessed Atleti with that gargantuan fee. I'm joking, but hey, if you're buying on potential, he's not a bad bet. Until you take Suarez out of the team and insert 2 unreliable strikers in Morata and Diego Costa. And it's funny how the picture changes for João. Last season, he was doing well to play the ball into dangerous areas for the strikers to latch onto, and they weren't quite there, or they would blow the finish. On top of that, João's final ball was inconsistent. His finishing was a shadow of what it was at Benfica, but his dribbling was still solid. He ended with 6 goals and 1 assist from 27 matches. This season, he continues on with the second striker role, but he roams a bit more and he drops much deeper to dictate the play. And seeing more of the ball gets him more involved. Couple that with an elite striker to play with, and you have João already beating last season's numbers after just 17 appearances. 6 goals and 5 assists, 4 more than last season already. When you bring in someone like Suarez, he lifts the performances of everyone around him. And going beyond João's numbers, his overall play has been superb. But when adding Suarez to the mix, who was already 1 goal away from equaling Morata's total last season, you get an absolute match winner and a professional that has lifted the young Portuguese attackers' performances. Atletico's always been competitive because of their airtight defense, but their attack has failed them in the last couple of seasons. Because of their solidity, draws were easy to come by. Last season, they nearly had as many draws as they did wins. 18 wins, 16 draws. If they wanted to reach that same number of draws this season, they'd have to draw 14 of their final 20 matches. And with the form they're in, if Suarez keeps scoring, you can't really see it happening, can you? He's been a difference maker, not just him, but some of the other players mentioned. But Suarez's goals have helped to convert all of those draws from last season, all of those matches they would have been stuck in a deadlock, into victories. 7 wins in their last 7 matches, the only loss coming away to Real Madrid, but their home form is impeccable and is actually the best home record in the top 5 leagues since football returned to action in June of 2020. They have the best defense in the league by a long shot with 8 goals, conceded in 18 matches, the second best attack with 39, and perhaps most importantly at this point, a 7-point lead over second place Real with a match in hand still. It'll be interesting to see if these players can continue at this sort of standard, and if they do, maybe they'll be a Champions League contender on top of La Liga contenders. One worry for me, depth. With injuries and bans, in Trippier's case, you feel like they're just a few injuries away from things slipping. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Something a little different, but fun to do all the same. Broadening our horizons a bit, trying to learn the stats game. So subscribe if you're new, because we'd love to have you around more often. My name's Adrian. Thanks so much for watching, and take care of yourself. Ciao.